And this is, you got in trouble for refusing to call trans men and women by their preferred personal pronouns.
So if you could let me
middle-aged.
finish the sentence without getting 6 words into it, I let you talk about whatever you wanted to talk about.
To indoctrinate children in schools who are not yet of the age of consent. You are not free, just as
People to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancy.
Ever seen someone so caught up in their woke bubble that they think they're untouchable, only to have reality hit like a freight train? It's like watching a bad plot twist unfold in real time, and honestly, you can't look away. How do these people not see it coming? The contradictions, the overconfidence, and then bam, the mic drop moment that leaves them speechless. It's equal parts hilarious and oddly satisfying, a reminder that no amount of virtue signaling can outsmart plain old common sense. Ready to dive into the chaos? Here are the most hilarious encounters where woke people literally got schooled. Senator Hawley schools. Woke professor. During a congressional hearing, things started to heat up as Senator Josh Hawley zeroed in on Professor Bridges, a passionate advocate for trans rights. From the moment she started speaking, it was clear this wasn't going to be your average debate.
You said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Hawley, calm but sharp, quickly pointed out something that had caught his attention, a term Bridges had used repeatedly: people with a capacity for pregnancy. It was a question that would set the stage for an all-out clash. Hawley asked if she was specifically referring to women. Bridges, unfazed, launched into an explanation, casually noting that while many women could get pregnant, not all women had that ability. And just to add another layer, she emphasized that trans men and non-binary people could also experience pregnancy. It was a lot to take in, and she said it all with the kind of academic assurance that suggested that everyone in the room should already know this. Hawley processed her answer and raised another point. If pregnancy wasn't just about women, was this really a discussion about women's rights? But Bridges didn't hesitate. She insisted it wasn't only about women. It affected everyone. In her view, the experiences of cisgender women and trans individuals weren't separate but deeply intertwined.
All right, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not...
But here's when things got even more interesting. Hawley wasn't letting it go. He asked her to explain what, in her view, the heart of the issue was. Bridges, without skipping a beat, accused him of transphobia, claiming his questions were harmful and could lead to violence against transgender people. It was a bold move, and her tone made it clear she felt absolutely justified. However, Hawley wasn't the one to back down. He calmly asked how simply asking about the topic's scope could possibly incite violence, and Bridges responded with a statistic, delivering it like a mic drop. 1 in 5 transgender individuals had attempted suicide, and for her, this was the proof that words mattered. Language, she argued, wasn't just words, it was a weapon. Hawley leaned in, challenging her logic with respectful skepticism. Was it really off-limits to discuss these issues openly? Was he supposed to accept her framing without question? But Bridges was unfazed. She doubled down, insisting that pretending trans people didn't exist, or even questioning her phrasing, was the real violence. At this point, it was clear the conversation had hit its limit. Sensing an opening, Hawley pushed further. He clarified he wasn't denying anyone's existence, just trying to understand her argument. That's when Bridges went for the jugular, flipping the conversation with a question of her own. Did he believe men could get pregnant? No, Hawley responded, saying that he does not believe that men can experience pregnancy. His tone wasn't defensive, it was matter-of-fact, but Bridges jumped on his answer, twisting it into proof that he was denying the existence of trans people. It was a stretch, but she said it with the kind of confidence only someone who's never had their beliefs truly challenged could have. But Hawley didn't let her off the hook. He pressed further, asking if this logic truly led to violence and whether students in her classroom were allowed to question her views or if they were accused of causing harm for doing so. But Bridges, she didn't even flinch. With a smile that suggested that she had already decided she was the smartest person in the room, she assured him her classroom was lively and engaging. And with a hint of condescension, she even invited Hawley to attend one of her sessions. After all, who wouldn't want to be enlightened? Hawley, his patience clearly tested, responded with biting sarcasm. "I've already learned a lot from this exchange," he said, making it clear that the lesson wasn't quite what she intended. It was clear how delusional this woman was, her woke brain taking on more burden than it could handle. But this next person turned out to be even more of a wild card. Charlie Kirk Humble's woke teen. This young teen took things to a whole new level with her attempt to throw off Charlie Kirk during a campus debate. Imagine this. Charlie's known for his lively debates, and this time, Republican Vivek Ramaswamy was by his side. The audience was hyped, but they had no idea what was coming. Just when the tension was building, a woke student decided to make her move. She stepped up to the mic, ready to challenge both Charlie and Vivek, but the shade she threw at Charlie was next level. She wasted no time, calling Charlie silly for even debating college students. She mocked him for engaging with students who, in her view, weren't prepared to speak in front of an audience like his. She even pointed out his age, questioning whether it was appropriate for someone in his 30s to debate people so much younger. But instead of backing down, Charlie hit back with his signature calmness. "Are you a voter?" he asked. "Yes, I am a voter," she shot back, clearly trying to stand her ground. Charlie responded smoothly, pointing out that both of them were voters and that their exchange was a conversation between citizens deciding the future of the country. He paused. "How is this any different than a professor talking to you?" he asked, a vibrant smirk on his face. But the student wasn't done yet. She continued her attack, dismissing the debate as some sort of silly comedy show, claiming she thought it was an improv comedy skit when she first saw it. Charlie wasn't rattled. "Well, no. You see, look at how popular Trump is on your campus. How does that make you feel? That's not comedy." He leaned in, challenging her. He wanted to make it clear that their discussion was about engaging voters, not performing a comedy routine. She reluctantly agreed that there was nothing wrong with talking to voters, but her point still didn't land. She couldn't shake her dismissive attitude about the whole thing. Charlie reiterated that this was an open discussion, and when asked if he was pushing a dangerous agenda, the student still couldn't define what exactly she thought he was promoting. Then Vivek, always ready for a debate, stepped in. He praised the student for challenging Charlie, emphasizing the importance of these kinds of discussions and questioning where the real disagreement lay. He urged her to focus on substance rather than style or personal attacks. The student tried to deflect, accusing Charlie of editing his content to make people look bad, but Charlie wasn't having it. He pointed out that they posted unedited content. Vivek then asked her where she truly disagreed with conservative values, Donald Trump, or the substance of their arguments. She finally mentioned her opposition to certain laws targeting the LGBTQ and trans communities. Vivek seized the opportunity to clarify his stance. Adults should be free to live as they choose, but children should be protected from exposure to gender issues before they are ready to make decisions about it. He pointed out the importance of parental consent in these matters and asked if she agreed with that distinction. Surprisingly, she agreed with much of what he said. However, she still believed that the laws were more complex than they appeared. Vivek pressed further, stating that while men could identify as women, they didn't belong in women's sports, locker rooms, or competitions. He emphasized that children should not be exposed to these issues before they are mature enough to understand them. The student responded, but it was with a weak rebuttal about not fully understanding the implications of the laws, but Vivek stayed focused on the core issue, reiterating that conversations like this were key to strengthening the country. But despite being completely dismissed, the student argued that Vivek wasn't focusing on substance, to which Charlie responded calmly that Vivek tried to have a meaningful argument with her, but she wasn't even able to make her stance clear. What the student did next was beyond anyone's imagination. She tried to deflect Charlie's attention by flashing him, but he didn't even notice, standing his ground. Confused about what move she should pull next, the student began blaming Charlie for bringing people under the spotlight and then insulting them, to which Charlie said that she had volunteered to speak and no one had forced her to get up there. But this teen was not stepping out of her delusion anytime soon. She then began accusing Charlie and Vivek of pushing some strange agenda, but Charlie was genuinely puzzled, asking what agenda she was referring to. That's when Vivek delivered a perfect closing line. He reflected on how at 18 he had been influenced by the media and lacked a full understanding of important issues. He pointed out that these types of discussions, free from the screen of media manipulation, were the way to truly understand the bigger picture and make the country stronger. The student countered, claiming that the problem was that they were all getting their media from different sources and that Vivek's facts weren't correct. But Vivek didn't flinch, responding that this was exactly why they were engaging in these discussions, breaking down distorted narratives and presenting facts directly. In the end, she had no real answers. Her attempt to throw a tantrum, flashy and desperate, fell flat. Charlie and Vivek didn't even break a sweat. The entire stunt backfired and the student walked away humbled. The mic? It might be a while before she steps up to it again. However, this wasn't the only person who tried to throw Charlie off of the pedestal. Charlie Kirk shuts up woke activist. In this fiery exchange, Charlie found himself up against two woke activists and things quickly got pretty intense. It all began when one of the women challenged him about life expectancy. She started with a bold claim, saying that life expectancy has decreased since 2000 up until now for one group, which is middle-aged white man, and the reason is self-induced. Charlie, not missing a beat, responds dot. Before he can finish, she cuts him off, saying that she is specifically talking about white men since the 2000. Charlie, clearly frustrated, tells her to let him finish his sentence and make his point. He then says that the byproduct of the lowering life expectancy is actually self-induced. Confused, the woman tells Charlie to slow down, making it clear that her brain works at the speed of a snail. After asking if he's talking too fast for her, he slows down his tone and makes the point clearer by saying that if the decreasing life expectancy is self-induced, it means that middle-aged white men are making bad choices. He then asks her what the primary cause of death is for middle-aged white men. Not knowing what to say, the woman tries to ask another question, but Charlie doesn't let that slide and asks her to answer his question first since she is the expert here. She responded quickly, saying cancer or heart disease. Charlie then presses further, asking what is the #1 cause of heart disease. Having no answers, the woman tries to move on from the question and change the topic. But Charlie relentlessly asks if she doesn't want to talk about facts anymore. However, she fires back, saying that she is talking about facts, and her question to him was that life expectancy for middle-aged men has decreased since 2000, which is a fact. But Charlie is quick to respond and says that the reason is heart disease. Not even letting Charlie finish, she snaps back, saying that she has done her research, and even though the primary cause of death for middle-aged white men is cancer or heart disease, the real reason for the decreasing life expectancy is self-induced harm, and Charlie's claims are false. However, Charlie doesn't feel intimidated and asks her what was life expectancy in the 1900s. She answers sharply, claiming that it was much lower but increased over time, but started to decrease for men in 2000. Charlie's response to this is quick and to the point, and he says that shift came as a byproduct of having food everywhere at all times. She dismisses this, saying, "It has nothing to do with obesity. It's self-induced harm that's causing this." Charlie, not one to let go, invites the woman for an overview, asking about the #1 cause of death for middle-aged white men. Heart disease. He answers his own question. And what's the #1 precursor for heart disease? Charlie asks again. Confused, she tries to change the subject once more, but is Charlie letting her slide? Not at all. She then accuses Charlie that he's not having a meaningful conversation with her. Charlie quickly shoots back, saying, "You're entitled to your opinion, but not your own facts." She quickly responds, saying that she can provide studies for everything she has said and has never seen him do the same. "I know what you say is factually wrong. This is coming from research." Charlie, undeterred, challenges her, asking her to name one valid point she has made, to which she bursts out saying, "Life expectancy has increased for every group in America," with the confidence that makes her delusion of being the smartest one in the room even more clear. But Charlie snaps back, completely done with the wokeness. But nothing can stop this Karen from proving that she is smarter than Charlie Kirk. She says the same old sentence we have been listening to for the past 2 hours on repeat. Life expectancy has not increased for white men since the 2000s. At this point, Charlie's frustration is visible and he angrily answers her, saying that it has decreased for white men because of their own bad choices. He backs it up by saying the primary killer of middle-aged men in America is heart disease. And what causes that? Overeating, sitting around too much, skipping workouts, and overdoing it with alcohol and drugs, all things that come from the crazy amount of surplus we have thanks to the free market. He then puts this woman back in her place, his voice dripping with anger, and says that he would prefer a culture where people want to get gym memberships rather than eating zoo animals. Feeling embarrassed and left speechless, the woman smiles before saying, "Thank you for this conversation." But Charlie isn't done with her and says that he wants to talk about her shirt, which says Black Lives Matter. Not ready to accept the defeat, she tries to insult Charlie as she says that she doesn't want to talk about the shirt and walks away, with Charlie's joke making the spectators burst into laughter. Unwilling to let the moment end in defeat, her friend jumps in, determined to salvage their pride. But after a drawn-out, fruitless back and forth with Charlie, she gives up too, walking away red-faced. By the time they were gone, the truth was written all over their expressions. "I'm leaving because I can't win this." No words were needed. The silence said it all. And just like that, Charlie won, leaving them both with nothing but their wounded pride. But these people never accept their defeat. And this next wild encounter is proof of that. Jordan Peterson School's woke news reporter. It started as a routine interview, but what unfolded was anything but ordinary. When Jordan Peterson sat down with a BBC News reporter, no one could have predicted how the conversation would turn. She thought she had him cornered, opening with what seemed like a clever question. "You cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?" But Peterson didn't just answer. He entirely flipped the script. With his calm, no-nonsense demeanor, he said that thinking always comes with the risk of offending someone. 041 to 048. He used their conversation as an example, saying the reporter was clearly okay with risking offending him to get to the truth. Then he turned it back on her, asking why she should have the right to do that, adding casually that the whole thing had been rather uncomfortable. The reporter smiled, clearly caught off guard, and said, "Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot." Peterson chuckled and calmly explained that she was doing exactly what she should be, trying to get to the heart of things. He pointed out that by doing that, she was using her freedom of speech, even if it meant risking offending him. And honestly, he said, that was fine with him. He actually thought it was a good thing. And just like that, the tension in the room hit a new level. The reporter, scrambling for a response, started to say, "Except you haven't sat there," but her words trailed off, leaving her visibly stuck. Peterson didn't miss a beat, delivering the knockout blow. Her expression said it all. She was shocked, a little defeated, and maybe even slightly impressed. She admitted, laughing nervously, that Peterson had got the best of her. "I'm trying to work that through my head." Peterson casually turned the exchange into an unforgettable lesson in handling pressure with wit and logic. As for the reporter, let's just say she's probably still working on that comeback. So what do you think about all these woke showdowns? Have you ever had a run-in with someone like a Karen who tried to challenge you on something? Share your stories in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more dramatic encounters. Thanks for watching.